Before we do some further progress, I just like to share some quick tips and tricks with you in 3ds Max. Some features, like some built-in features not a lot of people know about. Like for example, if we press the Shift F, if we go to the viewport global settings, in the save frame we can enable some composition rules like rule of thirds by just simply clicking on this action save and title save and untick this lock icon and putting in the value like 66.60 and in this horizontal and vertical field, and then in the title save 0 in the horizontal and vertical 66.6, and enabling this and apply. If we apply, you can see that pattern of the title save. uh, uh, this gives us the composition for the rule of thirds. If I click OK, whenever I press Shift F to go into save frame, I can easily look at my perspective view with the rule of third, and always like even if I'm not using the image comp helper script or looking through my camera, I can easily place my camera with the rule of third. But for this composition we are going with a, golden ratio like I said, but it's just a quick tip. And the other tip is that we can configure the modifier sets, like show buttons. If I show button, you can see that I have enabled the mesh editing, and we have some quick modifiers. If I go make a box in the modify panel, you can see that I don't have to dig through these modifier list. I can just quickly put edit poly on top of my stack and start modeling. I like to configure these modifier sets to my own needs, and let me just put 20. I like delete mesh. I don't use edit mesh. I'm going to put edit poly here, and normal is good. Bevel smooth. Bevel is. Let me just replace these ones with the ones that I often use. Let me just quickly drag the. I'm just gonna put edit poly here and put FFD 2x2 FFD. And I am going to save this and click on OK. Now you can see that the modifiers that I frequently use are now listed here. We will be adding more modifiers to this list as we progress further into the projects. And the other one I like to use are the plugins. Those are, if I pronounce this name correct, let me just open up narrator.
Pane.
This is just a quick
OBS 2
tip.
asterisk untitled, Notepad window, text editor, editing, Marius Silagi.
At least that's what the
End of line.
narrator said.
OBS 2 exiting narrator.
So if we go to his store, you can see that he has a lot of cool plugins, and uh, he is a great developer, and these plugins are just awesome. And I am going to drag his plugins to my quick configure modifier sets, and I am going to save it with his name, Marius Salagi. Save and click on OK. Now you can see that I have the polytools that I use, and I have the Marius Salagi toolset of modifiers over here, so that I don't have to hunt for the modifiers from here. I can just quickly put on modifiers from here to my mesh. I can just quickly switch between the poly modifiers and Marius Salagi modifiers, and other modifiers when we progress through our projects and we install the plugins and latest scripts as well. The other thing you could do is, like the image comp helper, you can put the script in the quad menu as well. So the next thing would be to configure the unit system. And I have done so many projects in both metric and imperial unit system. So I like to set up my grids and unit system in both. Um, but I generally like to, use my, if I go to my customized unit setup and system unit, I like to keep this in centimeter because I like to, switch a lot of applications, and a lot of application have this system unit as a default system unit, for example, like Maya. And I generally like to keep the system unit in centimeter in 3ds Max for my rendering point of view as well, because I find V-Ray and Corona, easier to set up depending upon the scene with this smaller unit system. Also, I use Phoenix FD a lot, and their help and other tutorials you can find. They use centimeters, so uh, it's I think it's good with the dynamic system as well. We did model our project in Revit, which was in feet and inches. If we imported into Max, we should have set this to inches, and now we have done this and we are good to go. So from now on, from my rendering point of view, I am going to set up the system unit in centimeter. I know this is confusing, but you can change your display unit to feet and inches, like with this US standard feet with decimal inches, and keep this in inches. So let me just demonstrate this point. If I open up my browser, you can search for just a simple ruler. You can see that inches and centimeter. If you study a ruler, you can get from your local store. It has both inches and symbol marked on both sides of the ruler. And there are special rulers such as architectural scales. They come in a lot of different units. So you can see that from 0 to 12 we have 30 centimeter. You can see that you can Google a lot of websites which also more or less do the math and give you the exact figure if you want to put the exact numbers. But I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to click on the uh, you know let me just set up my grid, home grid. For now my grid is set to 3 inches. If I create a box, you can see that it is 3.937 inches by 3.97 inches. And if I set it to 30, not 30, 12 inches, which would be roughly around 1 feet, and go to my box and set it to 12 by 12 inches and 12 inches, and go into my top viewport, and you can see that this box is now this grid size of this box is now 12 by 12 inches, and this is 10 feet. This major lines, every nth, you can set it to like whatever number, but I usually set it to 10 because when we model in Revit, my floor level height is set to 10 feet, so that's why I am setting this number to 10 feet. You could try to experiment with this number, but I am just going to set it to 10 feet. And if we go to our unit setup and switch to metric and switch to our display unit to centimeter and click on OK, you can see that 3ds Max can automatically convert this to 30.48 centimeter, which is more or less the amount value that we need. And you can type in 1 feet, you can put in the symbol and just click on OK. You can type in 2 feet and 3ds Max will automatically do the conversion for you. And you can press, wherever you see this numerical field highlighted, you can press Control Enter. You can put some expression here in this field, like control these values through an expression, which is another great big topic. But for now, I was just demonstrating to you my point that keep the for the rendering point of view, keep the system unit at centimeter, and you can change the display unit to whatever measuring unit you would like: meter, kilometer, feet, inches, whatever unit you can even use the generic unit as well. So I'm just going to keep this in centimeter. And if I open Marvelous Designer, you can see that I can choose the system units here, and I am just going to keep this in centimeter for consistency sake. I'm just going to click on OK. And in the Maya preferences as well, if I go to Windows setting preferences and preferences, in the settings tab, you can see that the default system unit is in centimeter. You can change this in inches, but I don't like to change this, and neither do I like to change the up axis conversion because the FBX plugins does it automatically. In a lot of application, I just like to keep this unit system consistent, and I can change this in max, and everything should be done. One last thing that I like to set up in preferences is turn on this backface culling option in the viewports tab. Backface cull object on object creation, and click on OK. What this does is, if I draw a plane, and let me just quickly maximize this, you can see if I rotate it, I can see the front side of the polygon. If I did not had the checkbox turn on in my preferences, the next object that I create, if I rotate my plane, you can see that they are black. And I like to keep this option on because I want to see my objects, like what is my normal side. You can turn on or off the this backface cull in the display panel by going, there is in the display properties, you can see that backface cull is clicked here. If you want to like enable or disable this on per object basis, but I usually like to keep this turned on in my preferences because I usually like to model that way. Whenever I feel something you guys need a quick tip, a trick, or some advanced feature, I will share the video and make a video about those features as well.